Yo, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we have the brand new Key of Babylon. This is Gilgamesh's Vanguard familiar and we will be pretty much checking it out. Now for this we actually haven't been able to see what this familiar does all the way until today. It is actually obtainable, which is quite cool instead of us knowing prior to that, but I guess some people might argue for that, but doesn't really matter too much. Going on to the actual obtainment of this familiar, you can get to this familiar from the events button, going down to the Golden King and completing these missions. You need to complete up to 25 stages per day and you can earn up to 20 event coins every single day, and after 5 days you'll have enough coins to be able to purchase the brand new familiar. Now you need to do these missions with the fate units. Any sort of fate units work. You do not need to have Gilgamesh, which is quite nice. Now moving on to the familiar's passives. So the first passive is King's Revival. This gives him 125% increased damage. His second passive is King of Heroes. If attacking a non-boss enemy, inflicts slow for 30% for 20 seconds. If attacking a boss, he inflicts stun for 2 seconds. And his final passive is Gates of Babylon. Gains an NP stack every time this unit attacks. Adds to the NP stack amount by 1 up to 30. When Enuma Elish is activated, stacks start to reduce at a rate of 1 per second, attacking a single enemy each time for 100 damage. Looking at this, it is a little bit disappointing in this is being the Vanguard familiar, but it is understandable. This is a limited unit, so he can't have him be super busted. He looks really good when it comes to doing a lot of damage to a single enemy, but overall I feel like some people will be disappointed in seeing this is the Vanguard familiar for him. But let's go in game to check it out. Alright, so we are in game and I've placed down my Gilgamesh so he can start stacking up because he does have stacks up to 35 attacks. He will get 35% extra range, so he'll be up to 45% range, and then his damage he'll be all the way up to 65%, so he can stack up quite high. But right now you can see he's at 10,000 damage and his range is not too bad. If I just place him down, you see on placement he has 9.2k damage. Now I will say people will be disappointed, but it very is obvious like they aren't going to make something like an exclusive unit extremely overpowered when he is unobtainable. Now it is pretty much bringing him back to be usable again, but nothing too crazy. Looking at it, like I said before, he looks like he'll be an amazing boss killer, especially after you pop his nuke. He'll then do to a single enemy every single second 100% of his damage 30 times if you stack it up all the way, which is quite nice. Now I'm not too sure if this is stacking now or until Enuma Elish is actually purchased for the first time. We'll have to figure that out, but yeah, let's just go ahead and pretty much see what he's looking like when we do first unlock Enuma Elish. He's at 99k damage, and then at max he goes up to 107k damage, which is not the craziest. All right, now moving on to just seeing how the stacks work. If I pop his ability, I don't think this should be enough to outright kill him. That's only 3 times the damage, but we should be able to see the stacks work in action afterwards. So you'll nuke the boss, and then every second he should be attacking. You can see, yeah, holy, he is threading this boss. Okay, so it looks like the stacks have been stacking since placement, which is quite nice compared to once the ability is first unlocked. But you can see right there, man, he shreds that boss like crazy. That is actually really cool. I quite like that. He is a really good boss killer, but looking at his DPS, 16,000 for Traitless. How much does he cost as well? 115,000. Okay, he's quite expensive, but 16,000 DPS. He doesn't really have anything in his passive that makes him like have higher DPS than what he shows right now. He does have 50% ignored enemy damage reduction, which is not too bad. I don't know if you really will be using this unit all too much if you don't have any sort of trait on him. So we'll go ahead and check out what his Monarch damage is looking like before we end off this video. Moving on to the Monarch version, I've just let him sit and stack up so we don't have to wait for this, but he's at 454,000 damage total after he is fully built up. Now this DPS that you can see right here would actually be his real DPS because, like I said before, there is nothing that like makes him have more damage from his passives. It's pretty much just a damage stack that he does get, and it's okay. It's not the craziest, but he would still be used within any sort of game modes these days. His damage is good enough, and he also has his execute, which is pretty good, especially for like tournament and stuff, but we'll have to see what people think of him. his main damage that he does have now is definitely within his nuke. So if I go ahead and bring in a boss, 20 million HP boss, that is completely fine. That is what I was aiming for. But we have Gilgamesh attacking this boss. He is going to be stunning every 2 attacks. Unfortunately, it's not every single attack. And then he has his nuke, which does 3.5 times Gilgamesh's damage, which is 454,000 damage times 3.5. It's roughly around 1.5 million. But this isn't where most of his damage comes from. I'll just pop it right now. Most of his damage comes from the Gates of Babylon, where he has MP stacks up to 30, and then they start to reduce at a rate of 1 point second, attacking an enemy each time for 100 damage. So you can see right here, this pretty much means that Gilgamesh's DPS is going all the way up to 454,000 DPS for 30 seconds, meaning that he can shred entire bosses by himself extremely well. Outside of that, like, it is only a single target nuke, but it is really good for those really extremely tough bosses. And then he does have that support that he can provide to enemies, you know, slowing them and whatever. But you can see right here, like, he is pretty decent. He's nothing too crazy, because I don't think they would want an unobtainable unit being the best unit in the game, because a lot of people will not like that to even happen. I can understand why people might be a bit disappointed in him not being super OP crazy. I'd say he's good. He's nothing too insane, but he is like completely usable again if you do want to go ahead and use him. But yeah, that is going to be this video. I appreciate it if you guys have watched this far through the video. See ya.